Samuel Mahama, however, is optimistic the finances of the company will be greatly enhanced if power sold is collected. He's been speaking exclusively to JoyNews.
We can say we've collected in excess of 2 billion, and we know that this is the final week. This final week we are pushing very hard. Our intention is to say that, look, we've had a month long. We've been patient for 3 weeks now. This is the last week. There are no longer any more excuses. It's okay. Just pay up so that the company can be made whole. Our intention is to do our best to make sure that we retrieve enough of the revenue so we can build a better company. Our intention is to make sure that we do it right for there to be enough meters for all our customers to benefit from it. So that's the plan that we are on now.
You set out to retrieve some 5.7 billion cedis. You say you are somewhere over 2 billion. You'll be wrapping up this weekend, right? What confidence do you have that you'll be able to meet that 5 billion debt that you were chasing?
So, in truth, this is not an exercise that you think you'd be able to finish. No, you can't. But within this short period, we intend to recover enough of it and then now launch a proper and systematic process to continuously close that gap as quickly as possible. There's a possibility that we might even start selling the debt to private institutions to go and collect. It's something that we are thinking about considering, because we are getting to the point where we need all the help that we could get. So if it means discounting it to the necessary company and then getting what we need, yes, why not? So it's something on the table worth considering. So our plan is we'll get as much as we can, and after that we'll sit down, do an assessment of ourselves, and then plan what we are going to do next. Yeah.
But we also understand that the debt that people owe you is lesser than what you owe the IPPs and or the people who help you out in your operations. How do you explain that, and how are you going to deal with that?
So that's a great point. Now, if you are not collecting enough, then what's your story? If it's even less in CD-wise, collect enough so you can shift the burden onto somebody else's doorstep. You understand? So let's say, for example, if the CD to the dollar was 1:1 and we're collecting 100 million, we are apples to apples in terms, but you don't have that in the perfect world that you are in now. So what are you going to do about it? That just collect enough, make sure your collections number and the rate is high enough, and then now you can ask to be given a seat in the room to discuss the way forward on the differences. So as for that one, I'll say when we get to that bridge with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Energy, we'll definitely cross it. But for now, we have to do what we have to do on our side as a company, and we also entreat the individuals and companies that purchase our product to know that we are at a point where you have to pay for what you have consumed. That's the whole conversation.
But how does the lay mind understand this gap, the gap between what you owe and how much people owe you?
So the gap is clear, because what we owe is in dollars and what we collect in cedis. You understand? So that's a whole tariff conversation about how to close the gap as quickly as possible. Maybe PURC has to start looking at leaving maybe some 2 or 3 or 4 pesos in there for us to close the gap on the CD to dollar ratio, or PURC has to adjust the forex bandwidth. It's all a conversation to be had. But at the end of the day, as a company, I choose to always drop the problem at the doorstep of ECG. If you're supposed to collect 100 and you collect the entire 100 and it's not enough, then you can ask for help. But currently you're supposed to collect 100 and you are not collecting the 100. So how do you even say that it's not enough? You understand? So it's a moral obligation thing for the company ECG to do its best to collect enough, and so it can now provoke the conversation of the gap that is left. Yes.
So is it that we're not paying realistic tariffs and that's why there's that gap?
By and large, yes, because it's not a cost-reflective tariff, because government subsidizes or attempts to subsidize on behalf of the good people of Ghana. But maybe that's a conversation for the future where we have to reconsider and say we have to pay realistic tariffs. So you know what, scrap all of this and then let's apply it, and then maybe every month, per how the forex is moving, we adjust just like the fuel. You understand? If we do that, yes, you can say we are. So that would mean that every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, tariff adjustment. But in the long run, these are all things that we have to look at as a nation going forward.
So today, the Accra Digital Center was cut off because of the debts they owe. After Friday, if these institutions are not able to pay, what happens?
So that's another conversation to be had. But for now, I'd rather not think beyond Friday, but I'll think from now to Friday. Because I'm expecting everybody to do what is right. Whether you have to find the money, whether you have to borrow, please go ahead, do that, and let's close the gap as quickly as possible. After that, we can revisit the conversations on a case-by-case basis.
When we heard the story earlier, Airtel Tigo called that they didn't owe, they had paid, but it was a mishap on the part of ECG. How do you explain that?
You see, at every given point in time, everybody finds it convenient to lay the problem at someone else's doorstep. Did you ask them when they paid? You understand? So you can't just say, when it happened, we came to check and we've paid already. When did you pay? You understand? I don't like bantering with people. Or I don't want to start a problem where it will look like you're actually, in all my deliberations, I do my best not to even mention company names because it's not necessary. You understand? Because if they want to go on that tangent, my other question would be, why do you even have to owe in the first place? You understand? It's a line item on your budget. So let's do our best to shy away from name calling and name mention. At the right time, if we have to do name and shame, we will do the name and shame. But for now, let's see it as a holistic approach. Let's do our best and let's push forward and make sure that we close the gap as quickly as possible.
So what should people expect after Friday?
What people should expect after Friday is that the next phase will be targeting mostly the illegal connections and making sure that all of those things are tackled and tackled well. We should note that an illegal collection is you stealing, because it's not that you have a bucket somewhere and you're collecting the electricity into it. After you've bypassed that, when I come for it, you can take the bucket and give it to me that here's your electricity. But rather, you've stolen. And if you've stolen, you have to be charged with stealing. So everybody should consider this a head start to correct all what they've done, because when we are coming with the full might of the law, even with the necessary protection for us to make sure that that gap is closed as quickly as possible. Now then, with our standing debt, as I said earlier, conversations are far advanced to find a way to, if we have to sell the debt to generate revenue, we'll definitely sell the debt to generate revenue. We have to be innovative and find a way to see how to get private sector to assist us to close this gap as quickly as possible.